Hello and welcome to this Marathi tutorial in which I'll describe how to answer question 5. What are the intended results and how will selected actions deliver intended results? This video will feature the results chain view of Marathi. Before we get started, make sure to set the video to HD for best playback quality, and also check out the other videos in this playlist that will help you answer each of these questions. You'll find the links to the playlist in the video description below. Video 4 in this playlist showed the building of the situation analysis or conceptual model diagram that identified a specific problem of rats predating on seabirds on an island, probed some of the underlying drivers behind the threat, and identified 2 strategies to address the problem. Video 4 included a description of the brainstorm mode, which I'll show again briefly here by right mouse clicking, choosing select all, and then going to brainstorm mode by clicking on this icon at the top, where you can see the lighter colored draft strategies that were identified but not selected for implementation. I'll return to the normal diagram by clicking on show full diagram. Marathi makes it easy to convert a situation analysis diagram describing the situation at the beginning of a project to a results chain diagram describing the intended results you hope to achieve. To create your draft results chain from this diagram, select the factor chain. I could highlight the target, right-click, select factor chain. Alternatively, I could simply left mouse click and lasso all of the factors to select them. Once the chain is highlighted, I can create a draft results chain by coming up to the top menu bar here and clicking on this button. Here's our draft results chain, and you can see that we've moved from the conceptual model tab over to the results chain tab. Marathi has given our new diagram a temporary name, drawing from the name of the strategy. I can rename the diagram by right-clicking, selecting rename results chain, and we'll just call this rat elimination for now. The target and strategy factors in the results chain diagram are worded identically to the factors in the conceptual model. In fact, they are indeed the same factors, and if you change the name of any of them here, those changes will also appear on the conceptual model diagram. You can see that the target and strategy names are italicized. Any factors that appear in italics are factors that also appear somewhere else in your Marathi file. The italics provide a consistent clue that changes made here will also appear somewhere else. The remaining factors are not the same. They are new results versions of the factors we saw in the conceptual model. Marathi places brackets around the names to trigger the need to rename them to represent intended results. For example, I'll demonstrate changing the name of what was the direct threat of introduced predator rats to the factor that is now a threat reduction result. To rename, I'll double-click on the factor and change the name field from our earlier name to a new name of rats eliminated from Key Islands. I need to do the same thing to the remaining factors that have brackets around their names, but to speed things up, I'm just going to switch over to a chain where the renaming has already taken place. Here's a version where all of the intermediate results have been renamed. You'll also notice that there are a couple of new intermediate results that have been added by using the Insert Intermediate Result button over in the control bar. These additional factors provide greater clarity on the key assumptions linking the strategy to the desired results of having rat barriers in place. I've demonstrated one method of creating a results chain by converting a conceptual model diagram to a draft results chain diagram. However, you have the option to build a results chain directly in this view. You can use the buttons over in the control bar to do things like add new targets. You can add intermediate results and add strategies here as well. The choice of approach really depends upon the entry point in the planning process. Some project teams are already implementing strategies and build a results chain to clarify the intended results and to set up the basis for measuring progress. We can see general statements of the intended results on these factors, but you can augment these general statements with specific time-bound statements, and I'll illustrate that by turning on the objective checkbox. You can see new icons displayed in the diagram. Marathi diagrams have a hover text feature that allows you to display additional content by positioning the cursor over items without cluttering up the whole diagram. So now we're looking at a specific time-bound measurable objective for eliminating rats from key islands. And if I slide the cursor over to this icon, you'll see another similar time-bound measurable statement, objective statement. If I turn the goal checkbox on in the control bar over here and position the cursor over the seabird target, you'll see that by 2020 we're trying to get to 750 breeding pairs of ruby-crested puffins. Adding these specific measurable statements to any factor is done by double-clicking on a factor. Then clicking on the Objectives tab, where you'll see buttons for creating and deleting objectives, and you can type their name and details of it and an ID here. We'll be returning to the Indicators tab in another video. I'll go ahead and close this now. We've answered the common question, what actions will achieve intended results? And we have a couple strategies shown here. But these strategies are pretty broad and likely will need to be broken down into smaller bits of work. In Marathi, the next level down is called an activity, and I'm going to turn on the activity checkbox. So you're now seeing a set of nested activities for each of the two parent strategies. Selecting on one of the activities will highlight its parent, and then selecting on any of the parent strategies will indicate or highlight the activities associated with that strategy. Adding activities to the diagram is done by double-clicking on the parent strategy, clicking on the Activities tab, where you'll see buttons for creating and deleting activities, and they can be named here. Activities are displayed automatically by default in Marathi, but you can use buttons on this panel to hide or show activities. I'll close this and then reposition that activity back here by just left-clicking it, and then you'll see controls to resize them. That concludes video 5, where you've seen how we can convert a conceptual model diagram to a results chain diagram, or alternatively build a results chain from scratch. You can capture both general statements of intended results and the names of factors in your results chain, but also add specific measurable time-bound goals and objectives for key results. Results chains make clear the logic connecting your strategies to the intended results, and also set up the basis for adding measures indicators covered in video 7c. The next video in the sequence will address capturing basic work plan information regarding who is doing the work and when the work will be happening. Video 6a will show how to add the who and when information directly in diagram view. Video 6b will show how to use the completely overhauled work plan to view and manage who, when, and cost information for your project.